On Fridays, we follow up on recent shows and talk about viewer feedback, what you had to say and tweet about the topics we've covered here. Well, very few shows have generated as much reaction as a conversation we recently had about HPV vaccines. I wanted to make sure we all understand the facts about this vaccine and human papillomavirus, or HPV. So we've invited on a leading expert. Dr. Ann Schuchat is an Assistant Surgeon General and the Director of the CDC's National Center for Immunization and Respiratory Diseases. She joins us now from Atlanta. Dr. Schuchat, thank you so much for being here. I know that you say that 79 million Americans are infected with this primarily sexually transmitted virus. Why is HPV a serious public health problem in your view?
You know, most people get infected with HPV and clear it, but some people don't. And every year, about 26,000 people develop cancers associated with HPV that are a result of a chronic long-term infection with the virus. So every year, people are getting cancers caused by this virus, and we have this extraordinary chance right now to prevent many of them through vaccinating young teens.
And in fact, there are 2 vaccines approved by the FDA to prevent HPV infection, Gardasil and Cervarix. What do they do exactly?
These vaccines work by preventing the virus from causing the infection. They don't work on treating the infection after it's occurred. So that's why we recommend the vaccine be given to girls and boys 11 or 12 years of age, well before they're going to have any kind of sexual contact, so that we can prevent their getting infected when they encounter the virus later on in life. It's very hard to avoid this virus. Every year, about 14 million more people become infected newly with this virus, and so we want to get protection in with the vaccines many more years before the virus ever comes in contact with these people.
And Dr. Schuchat, it's my understanding that there are a lot of different strains of HPV, and these vaccines protect against 2 cancer-causing strains of HPV. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. There are over 40 different types of HPV virus, but what we have in the licensed vaccines is targets against the 2 most common cancer-causing strains. Those 2 types cause about 70% of cervical cancers. And so we know that getting vaccinated can be a big benefit to protect you against those cancers. It's still important to get cancer screening, though, because these vaccines don't protect against every type of HPV that can cause cancer.
So it's still critically important to still get pap smears on a regular basis.
That's right. We do recommend routine cervical screening. We think that women should start to get tested when they're 21 years of age, and every 3 to 5 years after that, depending on their age and depending on which tests are used. So it's really important for women to remember that regular cancer screening is critical. I know you've been such a champion of cancer prevention. We think these vaccines are just an incredible tool to prevent cancers, but we can't forget to keep getting our pap tests.
We have heard stories of severe reactions and heard from families who claim that the vaccine caused injuries, illness, or worse. What is your reaction to these reports?
It's so important for us to make sure that vaccines are safe, and as the leader of our immunization program at CDC, I am really committed to a very strong safety monitoring system. What I can say is more than 57 million doses have been used, and with all of the tests and systems that we track, we aren't finding concerning problems. That doesn't mean we won't stop looking. It's so important for parents to have good information to protect their kids. We know keeping your kids healthy and safe is vitally important. What I can say is that the benefits of these vaccines are exceptional. It's really unusual for parents to be able to protect their kids from cancer. And that's what these vaccines are all about.
I know that only half of the population that should be getting vaccinated is getting vaccinated. Why do you think that's the case?
I am really upset about that, I want to say, because when these vaccines came out, I thought, my goodness, cancer-preventing vaccines, this is terrific. But we're really lagging behind other countries in increasing coverage against HPV. I know that there were some missed starts at the beginning of the rollout of the HPV vaccination effort. But right now, we think it really comes down to pediatricians and family physicians having good conversations with parents and with teens about the vaccines. This is a recommended vaccine. It's one of the routinely recommended vaccines that's supposed to be given to teens at 11 or 12. The same time you get the meningitis vaccine, the same time you get the whooping cough booster. And so we're really trying to work with clinicians and work with parents to make sure they have the right information to have a good conversation about the vaccines and to get them.
How long does the vaccine last? And do you think ultimately people will need a booster?
Everything we know so far looks like the vaccine is long-lasting. As we've tracked antibody levels over time, up to 8 years so far, things look great. There's no fall-off at all in antibody. We don't stop looking at performance of vaccines, though, after they go out into widespread use. We keep monitoring, and sometimes we do find out that a booster is needed. You may have heard of the meningitis vaccine that kids get at 11 or 12 years of age. A few years ago, we realized there was a need for a second dose, and now we recommend kids get a second dose at age 16.
And finally, what would you say to parents who are considering whether or not to vaccinate their kids?
I want you to get the best information possible. As a physician, as a public health expert, how can you not want to protect your child against cancer?
Dr. Ann Schuchat of the CDC, Ann, thank you very much for talking with us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And for more information about this, you can head to our website at katiecouric.com. We'll be right back.